The Zone Coverage Podcast Network.
The Andy Luke and Arif football machine.
Autobots, transform! I like this kind of party!
Straight cash, homie.
Starts now.
Welcome back to Thunderdome for another Zone Coverage Football Machine on the Zone Coverage Podcast Network. I'm your not so humble host, Andy Carlson, at Andy Carlson Show on the Twitter machine, and I have equity, more equity than Daniel Carlson saved renting instead of buying. It was really key, that whole month-to-month lease. Actually, no, he sublet.
He probably sublet.
I know, Airbnb. Would you have rented to him, Mika?
Oh, wow. Put him on a spot.
I would have rented to him,
yeah,
but there would have been a very sneaky charge after this last Sunday.
See, that would have been the greatest turnabout. So you have some dude who looks like an Aryan Norse god, and is like, no rentals here. Yeah, here. So we've been diminished. Actually, no, we've been approved.
We've been approved.
Improved, yeah. Arif and Luke are MIA, but we got Yanka INA, Sexy Prince, stepping up.
Yeah, man, I always do it.
QB2 now.
Yeah, exactly. QB2.
Yeah.
Tell him, Andy.
As well as Miles Gorham. Give him a follow on Twitter at Miles Gorham 85. It's Climbing the Machine podcast tonight.
Yeah,
basically.
Let's go.
Yep.
Thanks for having me on.
Working the board is Tom Schreier at T-Schreier3. What's going on?
I'm here. I didn't skip out. I was late, though.
Well, people don't even know that.
I was
People should just assume that.
I was machine on time.
Yeah, that's fair. We're on machine time, which is ironically slow. You'd think a machine would be on that time. But got a lot of Vikings nuggets to talk about because, 19,000 transactions, even though did you guys know that Rick Spielman doesn't care about this team, never looks to improve it, and he never invests in the offensive line. So, hashtag fire Spielman. That's all. But
we're coming out hot.
Yeah. But, gents, besides football, how has your week been?
It's been good. Week 3, new job, and doing pretty good there. And, yeah, man, we had a tie, not W. Still rewatching the game.
Feels like an L.
It does, though, because it hurts. That hurts a little bit more so than most ties would.
Does it, though? I mean, all right, so we'll get into it. Tom, how about you?
I actually was at a wedding. One of my friends who claims to be both. I've told you the story, but just the hardest working man in America. Nobody works harder than him, even Yinka.
I mean, that's saying a lot. So.
and also apparently a diehard football fan planned his wedding on the Sunday. So I caught the big parts of the game. Went back and watched some highlights, but no one was focused. I'm just being honest. No one was focused on the ceremony. We all were wondering what the score was. I didn't even turn off my phone. Some people were upset with me.
Who gets married at a casino besides people who expect second weddings?
Here's the crazy. Here's the crazy thing. People stayed at Treasure Island. It was actually in Welch. It was one of those barn weddings. You know, the hip new thing to do. So. It's like Luke's, except people weren't focused on a football game.
I love that Treasure Island theme song, though.
It's great. It's solid stuff.
It's fantastic.
It is. It's wonderful.
When is the last time you guys were at TI?
I've never been.
Yeah, that's the first time I drove down there.
It's
I've only been to.
What's
Grand Casino?
Oh, the one. Mystic Lake.
Mystic Lake.
Mystic.
Yeah.
I don't want to alienate a potential sponsor.
You haven't been to Running Aces? Running Aces would be in our backyard.
Mm-mm.
No,
I was only there for just a shoot.
Okay,
that was it. I've never actually gone to a casino just to go to a casino.
You're not high stakes gambling. It's actually not.
What was the shoot? Were you looking longingly at like blackjack, or were you like yes?
Well, it took place in like the little theater or whatever. They were like doing it's supposed to be like a promo for some concert that was supposed to go on in that area and just like a bunch of us got together and we just had to like pretend that we were dancing for some musician.
Cool.
Hey, man, it pays the bills. So
Yeah, that's fair. Not to alienate a potential sponsor, but Treasure Island is actually kind of depressing.
Here's the thing.
You get smoke in there. I mean, that's
every casino
no,
for the most part.
No, there's a smoking section, except it's completely open air to the non-smoking section. So come on, player. You just got people just like pushing in Social Security checks through the slot machines.
I mean,
they took a bus from like Byron, Minnesota up here. It's like great.
I'd say again, I was not in there. The drive down is not terrible because it's basically the commute to Hastings plus an extra 20 minutes.
Yeah,
something like that.
Plus, who's going to Hastings?
There's some wonderful people that live in
Let's just burn
Hastings.
everyone on the.
Yeah, like what the hell is this?
Long-standing feud to Forest Lake. Flake, get out of here.
I was in Forest Lake, wonderful lake. You're insulting all my places I've been this weekend.
F you, Byron.
Like, dead serious. I spent a whole day on Forest
F
Lake.
you, Castle Manorville.
A whole day?
Yeah,
F you,
super
Plainville,
nice.
Melville. Yeah. We're just
The problem is everyone like congregates in one spot. I'm like, everyone peed here at one point.
What's going on at zonecoverage.com?
Oh, we a lot of Viking stuff. Obviously, Sam was out in Green Bay. Did a great job covering the game there. Occasional Twin stuff. I always say we're still chugging along as
Wait,
they
that's
chug
still
along.
happening?
Yeah, they're still 8-2 win over
They have
Detroit
like
today.
15 games left.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? It's mostly prospect focused, obviously, and then
But no Buxton.
No Bucks. Yeah, Buxton's. We get an extra year. The Twins do. But also check out, if you're a Wolves fan, the player profiles that Dane and I know I see the reaction because Butler may be out of here, but yeah, Dane and Charlie Johnson are putting together.
what would it take for Butler to want to stay in Minnesota?
Here's the thing. Because he told. You have to be alarmed because he told Tibbs, who's his favorite coach, and he has all his ex-players with him, right? You got to be alarmed about it. However, weird destinations, right? It's basically he wants to go to the Clippers, which was always the second team in LA, probably still will be with LeBron there, and then I think it was the Nets and Knicks, right?
Yep.
So he wants to go to New York, LA.
Major markets. Major markets.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think Tibbs is going to go, you got to suck it up. That still creates problems because either Tibbs would have to trade him at the deadline, which is a weird spot to put Tibbs in because basically that means Tibbs will lose his job.
And you get less value for him, too, at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like you get Dane actually wrote about this on our site. You should check it out. You don't get a lot of value now because it's so late. And also because what value do the Knicks have? Like whatever.
See, I posted some on Twitter today asking, like, what could we potentially get back from those three teams? There's not a lot.
I'd have to look at the Clippers' assets, although they can't be many. I guess with the Knicks and the Nets, you're banking that they're trash.
Right.
And you try to get their pick.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. Then you go into with this weird ex-Bulls team that isn't very good. Wiggins and Towns are not happy. And Tibbs is gone because the one thing he had to do, all of a sudden that trade that looked magnificent draft night, transforming the Wolves, right? It looks like a bust. Lauri Markkanen's looking good. Levine got that $72 million contract. Chris Dunn is who Chris Dunn is, but sorry, Chris, but yeah, I mean that's.
Wait, you tell me that a guy who stays in college now for 4 years isn't going to be that good in the pros?
Yeah, I guess so. But although Jimmy Butler was, but I here's the thing. I think he might be like, you got to just stick it out with me, man, because otherwise Tibbs is
no.
He's by himself, right?
That'd be the worst thing ever because Tibbs going to get fired anyways. Then Jimmy Butler walks.
Yeah, and that is an issue. And I don't know. The only reason why I do it at the trade deadline is at least you have a sample size this season of how it went.
All right, now before our listeners shoot themselves in the temple. Speaking of walks. Gentleman who walks on water, as called by Mike Zimmer, Aaron Jerome Rodgers. Well, here's the thing. I actually think the Vikings defense did a pretty solid job against Rodgers, all things considered. I mean, you get one touchdown. Yeah, the Jimmy Graham one got called back, but you limit him to 5 field goals, 30 out of 42, 281 touchdowns. He was still on one leg, 85% of the Aaron Rodgers we all know and dislike, even in the tie.
I can honestly say if Aaron Rodgers was fully healthy, I don't think that would have been a tie. I think it would have been easily a loss. There's just too many things that the opportunities that the Vikings missed out on, most specifically special teams wise, and having
Stacey Coley, what's up?
Yeah. The ref looked at him like, "What are you doing?"
I actually, not gonna lie, if the Vikings were gonna lose anyways, I wanted that one to be a touchdown because just why not? But if you're gonna lose, just be comically bad, just for LOL value. But it's okay.
'cause-
He's a Giant now. He's
Right.
going to buy number 13 from Odell.
Is Daniel Carlson going to get another job?
Here's the
No, right?
No, he
not
will.
during the season. I think.
Oh, yeah, but at some point.
Next year he will
season.
be in camp,
Yes.
and watch him. He'll get with a sports therapist, and then he'll just be nail driver for 10 years.
Let's go. I don't think he'll get one immediately, but if you have a contending team that's kickers freaking out, don't they give him a call? Or do you think that every team is like, I saw those 3 misses?
I would be hesitant to do it, to trust him to kick in any game right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. I
mean,
mean,
the Browns.
He'll be fine until next year because his contract's been fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
So.
No.
Yeah. Right.
just
No.
a signing bonus.
Yep.
Oh, I thought it was.
And the 2 games or whatever they played.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because he's not a veteran.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So the great thing, not gonna lie, the great thing about him missing the 40-yarder, the 49-yarder in OT, which could have been the game winner because the Vikings stopped the Packers, and also like, hey, you have this glorified PAT at the end of the game, like, hey Daniel, hey Danny boy, you can completely resurrect your career here and maybe save your ass if you just make this. No, I'm glad that he sucked now because Dan Bailey was still available.
Yes, absolutely. No, I mean, and it's a lesson that the Vikings learned obviously in 2015 and 2016. It's like there is no reason to hold on to a kicker that is struggling, who's clearly his mental makeup is just not there to win you football games. And we've seen how many teams have lost so many games over the last couple of years over last-minute field goals that were supposed to be made, but they missed them.
Every time this comes up, and people are like, well, just take kicking out of the game. Nah, leave it in.
No. There's a strategy to it, though, right?
Yeah.
Like,
no, like Stefon Diggs said, leave it in.
No, with Daniel Carlson, though, wasn't the whole thing is he could make extra points? Like, that was the big key, right?
Yeah.
All we needed was him to make extra points. He did that.
Yeah, no, he did his job.
Yeah, he did.
I don't see any flaw with what he's done with the Vikings.
No. He made his extra points. Kai Forbath couldn't do that, so.
Kai Forbath is like, God damn it, Dan Bailey.
Yes. But I bet he really thought they were gonna call him.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah, I'm familiar with the system.
yeah.
Because that matters.
Yeah, he knows where to park. He's got directions to everything.
I know the holder. Oh, wait, no, I don't. Oh.
He shows up the first day. He's like, wait, who are you? Oh, they just signed some dude from Arizona.
Yeah, what happened to Quiggles? But coming out with the tie, it is sort of unfortunate. But I feel like the Packers had every opportunity to win that game. Like if that Matthews call doesn't get called, which it did, I think it's funny that it came back and bit him in the ass. If Rodgers doesn't screw up the 2-minute drill, if icing the kicker doesn't actually work that one time in 100, like could easily come out of there with an L. And yeah, I mean the tie sort of sucks, especially if the Vikings had a chance to win. But I mean the tiebreaker now comes down to Week 12 at US Bank Stadium. It's fine, whatever.
It just, I don't know. It's so frustrating, obviously, because, those kinds of games matter more than, the week one. Yeah, it's obviously within the conference, but, in those divisions, that's why the Packers are on top right now rather than us. So, we'll see how it goes down.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that stupid week one game. Mm-hmm. But going into the fourth quarter, you're down 20-7 on the road. At that point, if you're honest, would you have taken a tie?
Well, they were driving. I mean, so for me, I always felt confident in the game. I don't know why. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
It was like I think it was maybe just the fact that they were driving. They drove a lot on this defense, and you could see it toward the end of the third quarter that they were putting together a drive that looked like what appeared to be a touchdown, which it ended up turning into. So I felt really confident in the offense, and then but you're kind of right to the fact that you're like, if we could even just get out of this with a tie, it makes everything better with how that whole
But
first
see, you were
three quarters
confident
went.
because we have QB1 in the freaking stable. $84 million man earning every single penny in that one game. 93.6 PFF grade, the highest of his career. You doubted. You all doubted.
Who?
See,
Well,
like me,
yeah.
had faith the entire time. 35 out of 48, 425. No big deal. 4 touchdowns a pick, which was on him. And a svelte 118.9 quarterback rating. Also 22 points in the fourth quarter. Ow! Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah.
8 of those points were kind of on that last drive in the third quarter, but whatever.
Yeah, but not gonna lie, that Diggs 62.9 or whatever yards in the air chuck.
Yeah.
That They maybe go from 6 to midnight or midnight to 6. Whatever one indicates erection.
You had it correct.
6 to midnight, Andy.
I was,
we don't know. I mean,
between that throw, the Diggs touchdown throw last week, and also the Thielen, just like I still don't know how he threaded through those two defenders.
Because like the safety is terrible, but we won't need to get in that.
Yeah, no.
Interception easily.
We knew that Cousins was capable of being Pete Cousins, but it's Pat Cousins that was always the big concern. And hell, maybe Pat Cousins shows up against Buffalo. You never know when he's going to show up.
Oh man!
But even the biggest Kirk Cousins doubters have to applaud how he played in the fourth quarter and overtime.
No, absolutely. And I mean, we talked about this. We had a quick pod about it, and
oh yeah, I went off.
It was Miles was very angry on that pod, but. We definitely saw that DeFilippo kind of let the reins go a little bit more so towards the end of that, that second half of the fourth quarter and whatnot, that you really got to see Kirk get going a little bit more so, whereas maybe not so much in that first half. And maybe that speaks to the game plans moving forward, where we're just letting Kirk be Kirk throughout the entire game versus, we have the wide receivers that are going to make those plays more often than not. So just let them play. And then, obviously if there are turnovers there, I think this defense is good enough to kind of overcome some of those bad spots. But I'd much rather be in the position where, you are seeing more of that fourth quarter and OT offense than really anything else.
Yeah, that red zone offense was impressive. The play calling. You could just see, in my opinion, some of those calls were better than what we've seen from Pat Shurmur last year.
Yeah.
But I think obviously the quarterback situation helps with that. But yeah, it was really good in the fourth quarter and overtime.
Yeah, but also, Cousins didn't do it alone. Let's talk about some Stefon friggin' Diggs. Speaking of guy earning his money, 9 up for 128, 2 touchdowns, 13 targets, plus 2 touchdowns and that 2-point conversion. The Packers DBs, they had no chance. You can draft Josh Jackson 3 times over, bring over the corpse of Tramon Williams 9 times over. It's 14 is taking a little step up in his game.
Yeah, it's Stefon Diggs is a freaking cheat code. You look at that. He really is. You look at that 2-point conversion and the things that he's able to do. And again, I hate having the conversation about Stefon Diggs because it's we can't have this conversation without bringing up Adam Thielen. And I just think that Stefon Diggs is still getting into his prime and not quite there yet, which is really scary to think about. Because, he is only, 24 right now? Mm-hmm. Not even 25. He hasn't... He's still going... That's the scary thing for opposing secondaries, but I think it's a really good thing for Vikings offense in future because you lock down a guy who you know was going to be your wide receiver 1 of the future. And then, as Adam Thielen gets older, he's a great number 2. But, you might have to consider finding yourself another wide receiver who can eventually fill in that role if he gets too expensive.
Yeah, I think with Stefon Diggs, like we said, he's arguably one of the better route runners in the league. Even he was like that coming out of college. And then with Adam Thielen, he's one of the better slot receivers in the league. And I think the key difference between the two is what we saw with Stefon Diggs and how he wins. Especially downfield, you saw that deep touchdown. I don't think Adam Thielen makes. Not saying he wouldn't make the catch, but he's not making the rest of that work. Just being honest. Not that he wouldn't make the catch. He's catching the ball. I just don't think he's finishing it with a touchdown the way Diggs did. Diggs a little bit more dynamic in that sense and a little bit better after the catch. But it's small things. They're both great. They pair well together. So that's all you can ask for.
Have you guys seen the scouting report that's been floating around about Stefon Diggs?
Yeah.
Stefon, Stepon Diggs. And I can't find an actual photo of the full thing, so I actually don't even know where it comes from. But the pro comparison is a faster version of Griff Whalen.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is rough. Yeah. Was he number 19th or 20th wide receiver taking that 2015 draft?
18th.
Something like that,
yeah,
including
18,
Ty Montgomery taken in front of him, and now he's the Packers' worst running back,
3rd string running back.
Yeah, right. Cool. Wonderful. But that's right. Their loss, our gain. All right, so we got to talk about Treadwell.
Oh, wow.
How can the game where you catch your first NFL touchdown be the
worst game of your career?
Ever?
I think it's like he's letting the pressure and the expectations that he knows he couldn't live up to him still get to him. Because like that touchdown was like a great touchdown. It's like, okay, like that's what we wanted to see from Treadwell. That's what we needed from that third option. That I think will only help if something were to happen to Diggs or Thielen. But like those drops are just one of the balls were like kind of high and behind him, which is fine, whatever. But there was two that was just like, bro, you just gotta catch those. And like, yeah, you're thinking about running so you can get upfield and maybe get the first down or just. But it's just disappointing. It's for a guy like him, catching the football is the one thing that we didn't want to have a discussion on. It's like, okay, well, it's just the route running. It's just the nuance of getting open. It's like, but now you're having issues with catching the ball, bro. Like,
the one thing that you should have no issue with.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, I don't know. It's problematic. I don't know. We'll see. I know Miles was very fired up about this, and he was done. So I'll let him speak to that.
Which is a heel term because you were one of the biggest Treadwell supporters out there.
I wasn't. It wasn't more so a supporter. It was more so not being willing to just write him off so early in his career. But yeah, it's wrap now. It's cut, severed. Severed. Yeah, that umbilical cord's been cut and it's done.
Yeah, so the crazy thing about like him coming out of Ole Miss, like in terms of concerns, like it was the speed, it was coming back from the injury. Hands weren't the issue.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like that's what Sunday was the worst part.
Yeah.
Is the one thing he's supposed to be good at is being contested catches.
Yeah.
Big body guy that you could rely on third downs, and we saw him drop key situational passes.
That's why I think it's fully psychological.
Oh, like 100%.
He is completely
100%.
inside. He should not have been on the field. Like I know that Stacey Coley pulled a boner, so sort of screwed up you benching Treadwell. But the fact that you went at him on second and third down before the Carlson 49-yard field goal miss, when you could have eaten up like a little bit more yardage to get a little bit closer. It's like, no. Come on, man. Like, Kirk, I know you have faith in the guy. I know you have preseason chemistry with him, and in camp you look pretty good. But problem is, Vikings can't go anywhere else.
There's nothing they can do.
Aldrick Robinson is in the building, but it's going to take him a couple weeks to get up to speed. Zylstra, I don't think, is ready for prime time. And what else you got?
Can we talk about Zylstra, too? I saw they put him in the game. I think he got maybe 3 snaps. He was in a bunch formation with, I think, Adam Thielen, and all I saw, because I was like, oh, Zylstra's in the game. Obviously, obvious reasons. Stacey Coley does Stacey Coley things, why he's cut. Treadwell does Treadwell things. That's why he got sent to the bench for a little while.
That's cut him. I don't care what the cap ramifications are. Just cut him.
That's why. And then we do that, and there's no Dan Bailey, there's no Tom Johnson, but whatever. But anyway,
are there consequences for that?
No, not at all. But no, Brandon Zylstra was lined up, and the entire pre-snap time, you could see Brandon Zylstra look back at, I think it was Adam Thielen, being like, "Dude, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. What's my route?"
Well, he's used to CFLs. Like, so do I get a running start now, or how about now? Now,
right? So that I see a lot of people on Twitter, and they say, "Oh, put Zylstra in. That's it's a wrap. That's easy. That's wide receiver 3." It's like, no, it's not that easy. The guy's never caught a pass in the NFL. He's never. He's still brand new. He's a rookie. I know he's 25, but still, he's still behind the curve. Let's pump the brakes on that one a little bit too. So, like you said, Andy, we really don't know what to do at this point with the wide receiver 3 position because it's kind of Treadwell until Robinson gets up to speed. But what do we know? What do we have with Robinson? We don't really fully know. He's never really produced a lot in the NFL.
That's Brian.
Oh God, no.
Do you have money for that?
I do. I got the company credit card, so just do what you got to do.
Zone coverage will sponsor you.
If we want a slow head case with bad hands, I mean, let's just keep Treadwell. You got a younger version. It's like the Spider-Man meme.
Do we honestly think Treadwell's better than Des Bryant right now?
Yes, strictly because of age.
I don't, just because of confidence, but... It's not like you're too far off, though.
Yep. All right, so run through. Why was Xavier Rhodes
getting eaten alive?
Yeah, by Devontae.
It's early in the season. I feel like this happens a lot with him.
Yeah,
early in the season.
Yeah. He definitely struggles, and then he starts getting into his own, but then he like settles into that top 5 cornerback, and we're just like, well, why wasn't he like this entire? If you look at his first 4 games, statistically, last 3 years, I think it is
something like that.
He usually doesn't start in the top 5, but then he works his way into it because of just playing better and whatnot.
Yeah, he definitely got worked by it. Devontae Adams even came out and said, I think it was before the game, that he feels super underrated in the league. And I'm a big Devontae Adams fan in terms of route running and the way he gets open. And he put...
Which, if you're really good, you definitely come out in the media and say that you're underrated.
You're right.
Yeah, as opposed to just doing your business.
But he is really good. He put Xavier Rhodes on skates a lot on Sunday. So
felt like there's a lot of off coverage.
There was, especially in the red zone, which was really surprising to me.
Yeah,
I mean, Trey Waynes always gives up 8 yards.
Well, if you look at the way that they're stacked, it's just so frustrating. You look at Xavier Rhodes will be in press coverage, right? And then look on the opposite side of the field, Trey Waynes is in. It's like,
but the coverage might be different on the other side of the field.
And I get that, but it's like I almost never see Trey Waynes in press whatsoever.
Yeah.
At all, and you would think that because
you don't see him impress, and he doesn't impress.
Yeah,
fair.
Yeah. Something's also fair is bragging rights and huge cash prizes up for grabs this weekend and all season long at DraftKings, your leader in 1 week fantasy sports. How huge? Huge. We're talking over $2 million in cash prizes with 1 week fantasy at DraftKings. You choose when to play, draft a new team every week, and no season long commitment. At DraftKings, you are the general manager. So people can say you should fire yourself. Just choose your players, stay under the salary cap. That's right, stay under the cap. And see how your team stacks up against the competition. No matter what your skill level is, there's a contest waiting for you at DraftKings, because nothing makes Football Sunday more exciting than when you have a DraftKings lineup on the line. I don't know, like a kilo of Coke is also good. But and you can play for free with your first deposit to compete for your share of over $2 million in total prizes. So here's what you do. DraftKings.com, download the app today, and use code COVERAGE to enter a contest for free this weekend with your first deposit and compete for your share of over $2 million in total prizes. That's COVERAGE, COVERAGE, only at DraftKings. The game, inside the game. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. All right, so someone who, speaking of $2 million in total prizes, Dan Bailey cashed that in.
Yeah, man.
1 year, $2 million deal. Turned down offers from other teams for more money, more years, but he wants to join a winner. 30 years old, former Pro Bowler, former second-team All-Pro, second most accurate kicker in NFL history. No big deal. Had down year last year, but was hurt, but whatever.
I think Arif put out a stat actually earlier today that like kickers after a down year perform incredibly well. Like Robbie Gould is an example of one of these guys, which I'm happy about. I'm glad that Bailey was like, hey, I just want to play for a contender, because he's probably okay with being done playing football. He's probably got all the money that he needs.
Why do we always assume kickers are good at money?
I mean, have you really heard of very many bankrupt kickers?
I don't know. Seabass, I bet you enjoys himself.
Oh yeah, he definitely
Seasons
does.
a day.
Yeah,
He's like, I thought I was done.
yeah, I thought it was done.
I feel like there's a reason Sebastian Janikowski is still playing.
Yeah. His gut is what's telling him that he still needs to play.
It's got a lot of influence.
He just trots out. What he's like he's heavier set too, like 260 pounds or something like that.
He's like, I'm a first rounder, dude.
That dude lives the retired life.
Yeah.
Like 8 months a
Now,
year.
in terms of setting aside his questionable history with Seabass, like in terms of having fun at Florida State, Tallahassee, I mean, you're the kicker, you're really good. Florida State has a history of really crappy kickers, a long history of it, and you're like, you're gonna go out and win the day afterwards. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did Christian Ponder remain such a good human being going through Tallahassee? That's what I want to know.
He's the Tebow of Tallahassee.
He kind of is. Him and E.J. Manuel.
Yeah. But all right, so here's the thing. With Dan Bailey in the building, he's only 30, and if he does well here, he could see himself being inked up long term here, possibly somewhere else, but hopefully here. It's like, Vikings should have a nail driver kicker for like the next 5-6 years.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
he's only 30. That's perfect.
Yeah, and never have to draft a kicker.
Never
ever again.
draft a kicker.
I think the only issue with that is that they're so pressed against the cap, and it seems like a lot of teams do this, or they go cheap with their special teams, and he's making $3 million, right? Something like that. $3 million.
$2 million.
$2 million. Okay, yeah.
Cap is fluid, Tom.
Plus, he wasn't on the roster at all. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the only issue is that if you're trying to sneak Barr in there, sneak another player in there, you may have some issues.
I don't think they're in any hurry of extending Barr.
I just think, I just think the people are straw manning the whole Kirk Cousins thing. It's like, we're not really worried about 2018 as far as the salary cap. I mean, they have the flexibility to do what they want this year. And it's going to be 2019, 2020, 2021 that you're going to start to see the after effects of having not as much flexibility.
You're just going to have to make tough decisions.
Yeah, no, and you talked about Diggs. Like, it does seem like players are taking reasonable salaries in order to be here. Even Dan Bailey, to some extent, passing up other offers.
Yeah.
And also, the cap is super flexible. Like, you can restructure Everson, Rudolph, Remmers, Reef, too, because kick up some of that roster salary either this year or next year, wherever, convert into a roster bonus.
Cap goes up too.
There's so many ways to just skirt around this.
Yep. Cap goes up, another $10 million, I think they projected.
Yeah.
So
plus Sendejo will be gone. We'll use that money on Aloka.
He will likely be gone, yeah.
Yeah. But someone who is back this year, also wearing a really weird number, Tom Johnson.
It looks weird.
Back in the building.
Yeah.
Wearing number 96 because 92 was absorbed by Jalen Holmes. Yeah. Thoughts on, what's the nickname?
Sebastian Thunderbucket?
Thunderbucket.
Yeah. Well, didn't they go from like the 4th or 5th youngest team in the league to now they're like back to one of the oldest teams in the league again, rosters, which I think is really funny. But I love it. I mean, weren't we looking to upgrade over Tom Johnson? That's why we got Sheldon Richardson.
And then we upgraded Tom Johnson with himself and Sheldon Richardson.
Right. So you're able to get both guys.
Guy who knows the system, guy who's been here before, has produced, has had to be a starter for an extended period of time,
and I think he is better suited for that situation.
Yes.
Yeah, and now he's now he really is in a situational role. I mean, it goes back to 2009 where you were rotating with Everson Griffin, him being inside, and then with Jared Allen and whatnot.
Tom Johnson's been here that long?
No, I'm talking about it's equivalent to how we were having Everson Griffin
rotating in with a veteran.
Maybe it's 2012. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
It's just nice to have a guy like that who, again, he's only plays maybe 15% of the snaps, and he's going to be fresh like every single time.
We might see him play more because there's things you can do with Sheldon Richardson, like slide him over into Linval's spot and get Linval a little bit more opportunities to take rests and put Tom Johnson in there at 3-tech or whatever. They're both versatile that way. So I think that it allows you to rotate even more than they're even going to with Jaleel Johnson. So
and I'm seeing a lot of the bit when they're doing the AA gap blitz. Obviously a lot more exotic looks and whatnot. Having Barr down, Smith down, Kendricks in the middle in the mug or whatnot, and then having Everson Griffin blitzing wide. Really, it's going to start putting pressure not just on the interior, but those edges. So, I like the fact that Zim is becoming even more creative with the way that he's blitzing.
Yeah. Ooh, have you seen a couple where Harrison's been lined up in the A gap?
Yeah. Yep.
Ooh, baby. That's freaking go. Yeah. All right. So Tom Johnson in the mix. Were you a little surprised that David Perry was cut?
No, I said that.
I'm surprised he made the team.
I think we both are, but I wasn't surprised. I thought he was going to be.
Miles, weren't you a David Perry apologist?
I think I gave the reason why he made the team for the fact that they liked that he was the beefcake. He went the beefcake in the middle in case something happens to Linval. He played well in the limited snaps he did. He had a sack even on Aaron Rodgers. So
one-handed sack, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, but. Yeah, fare thee well, David Perry. If the Vikings need you, we'll stay around.
He'll definitely be the first one they call if something happens to somebody.
I think he'll be available too. Something we need to talk about. All right, so Prefer I feel like Prefer's lived off his reputation for quite a while. Like, he was great in Denver, great in Kansas City. But, I mean, he benefited from peak Marcus Sherrills when he was one of the better punt returns in the league. Cordero Patterson, and now...
Even Blair Walsh when they first drafted him.
Yeah. He hasn't been great at developing kickers or punters, for that matter. He had the punt block for that touchdown, which put the Vikings behind the 8 ball the entire day. And then... You had the missed field goals. You had the pooch kickoff, which didn't work. It's just like, I think Prefer should be feeling a little bit of heat, too.
I agree 100%. I think he's definitely on the hot seat, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was gone after this season. I think Zim's sick of hearing questions about the special teams.
Yeah.
Also, we were saying, so it was 5th rounder for Carlson, 5th rounder for Locke, right? The punter?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and he's got to have a voice in all those decisions. Now we know,
100%.
Yeah, and as much as I think in his defense, he's going to go, well, they went cheap, right? Longwell probably made more money, and Cluey, yeah, and we know about that. But yeah, it just seems like at a certain point, he's got to wear a little bit of this.
Yeah, I agree. I think I put a post out. I was like, I asked the question of like, when does it start becoming on Prefer for all these fails and misses? And the lack of development, and
Prefer, by the way, not in the room when they decided to cut Carlson, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
didn't
guess
hear
that was just Spielman and Zimmer. Yeah,
which makes sense because I'm sure Prefer would have probably tried to fight
because he realizes that's on him a little bit.
Yeah. I'm sure he would have tried to fight to keep Carlson, and I'm sure Zim wasn't having it for sure.
That was an amazing.
It was good on Spielman to admit defeat. Like, yeah, you trade up in the 5th, could have had Jamarco Jones, no big deal, and. Yeah, I feel like Spielman has been a little bit quicker to release some of these guys who just aren't working out. Where you saw Willie Beavers, you cut him first,
he was on the practice squad.
T.J. Clemmings, you look at Rodney Adams, you look at Bucky Hodges, R.I.P., and it's like, it is good that you make mistakes when you know that you stepped in it early, rather than later. Any other games catch your eye over the weekend?
Not really.
I rewatched Chiefs Steelers. That game was drunk, and it was amazing. Also, seeing the Eagles get humbled by the stupid Bucks.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I was hoping the Browns were going to pull it off against the Saints.
I was really hoping for that.
That would have been really great. But of course they didn't.
Yeah.
Future employer of Dan.
Yes.
Dan Carlson.
Yes.
No. You know what's going to happen? Cody Parkey or whoever the Eagles kicker is, Jake Elliott. It's one of the two.
No. Oh, Jake Elliott is the Eagles kicker. Yeah.
He's going to pull a hammy, and then the Eagles are just going to be like, hey, Dan Carlson, hey, what's up? You going to be Justin Tucker now? Yeah. All right, I'm in.
70-yard field.
Yeah. I will say, though, I want Dan Bailey to make every single one of his kicks except for the first one. I want him to shank the first one so bad.
It looks like Blair Walsh's.
Oh.
You're like, oh, man. Uh-oh.
Just to see Vikings Twitter meltdown, which is one of my favorite pastimes.
He's like, no, I'm really right-footed. I just tried this out once in a game.
Vikings open up 6.5-point favorites against the Bills. I've actually seen that bumped up to 17-point favorites in some spots. But besides Vontae Davis retiring ahead of having to face Thielen and Diggs, what stands out about the matchup, gentlemen?
Buffalo and
Josh Allen against his defense.
I don't even, man. LeSean McCoy might not even play because he's injured. Like, they're one good player. I mean, they don't have a defense. They don't have an offense.
Is it a trap game? Coming off emotional. I don't know if this is emotional if you don't win or lose.
I mean,
emotional game against Green Bay.
How angry is Zim right now, though? Like,
Zimmer is pretty upset.
He might take this out on Josh.
He's like, I'll cut you at halftime.
Yes, He might kick this week if he has to.
Force Terrence Newman out of retirement and come back on the field
at halftime.
At halftime,
the opposite of Vontae Davis.
Newman's like, I'm drunk, dude. I was in the stands.
No, I think I want to say Zim's probably pleasantly happy with his offense and how they perform for the most part. I think he'd probably be a little bit more disappointed in the defense from this last game, just because they gave up more than maybe they should have. Considering Aaron Rodgers was not completely, but mostly immobile for the game. Trap game, yes. Will it actually happen? No. Like, they need to win by like 30 points, and it needs to not be close.
Just this is the stats game.
Yeah, this is the
Diggs, you want 1,000 yards this year?
Exactly. This
Let's
is the
do
game.
900 today.
This is the game. Stefon Diggs or Adam Thielen gets 200 yards.
I mean, Treadwell could take advantage of a bad defense. And maybe,
gosh.
yeah, right.
If he had his first 100-yard game and
Yeah.
over 50 or 60-yard game, like
Bailey's like, I'm trying a 70-yarder. Like they just said this way.
just say
yeah,
screw it. Why not?
We're not punting.
I am excited to see the wide receiver matchup, Diggs and/or Thielen against Tre'Davious White.
Yep.
He's been good. He's probably one of their only bright spots.
Yeah, it does sound. I was talking with some Buffalo media jokels today. It's like it does sound like White is starting to travel now, so I think he may be trailing Diggs.
Yeah, I think that would make sense just because Thielen is primarily in the slot, so you don't need to. You can mask that a little bit more, I think. So
If you're in Buffalo media, is this like end of the Twin season where like they're like, hey, Cole Stewart went 6 innings or whatever? Gonzalez, like,
Kinda.
Are they at that point where they're like, yeah, we're just looking at some things from Josh Allen, and I don't even know who else is on the team, but
yeah, well, you have to. I mean, how do you go through the off season as a Bills fan, Bills media, and be like excited about
drunk.
any?
didn't
You're drunk and humping.
they made the playoffs last year, but
Yes.
got their head beat in,
Well,
right, or something?
No,
Here's the
it
thing,
was a
like-
terrible game against the Jags. It was
Oh,
like
that's
7-9.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
no, they were trying to tank, except the Bills did.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because yeah. God, their fans are entertaining.
They are.
It's probably super unhealthy to do that every week, but yeah.
What do you mean?
You don't think smashing your head against a bus is
Jumping
when playing
through tables.
Yeah, playing dizzy bat.
Well, you're assuming that they have brain cells to lose.
Wow, that's harsh. It's harsh. Those are good
He
words,
always
people.
goes, he always goes for the throat.
Tell me where I'm wrong.
I mean,
Tell me where they would disagree. Yeah. Oh, besides the Leslie Frazier Bowl, there's the Matthew Collar Bowl as well.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, good times.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
I got into a thing on Twitter with the Leslie Frazier revenge game. Who's online for the revenge aspect of it though? Like the Vikings for letting him do the things that he did to this franchise, or Leslie Frazier? Like
We're both going to have to look at the tape on that one.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's definitely more fans.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but also it's like, he doesn't even call plays anymore because McDermott snatched that away like a keep to leave chain at halftime against the Chargers, which I think is funny. It's, also, the point that they were making that talking to Bills media today is that Bills fans are already fed up with the soft zone scheme.
Oh,
It's like,
sure. I'm Tampa 2 type
Tampa
style.
2.
They know. Now they know.
It's about to eat him alive this weekend.
Yeah. Is there any chance at all that the Bills make this a game?
No.
they're going to scare people right out of the bat, right? We know this is like the early touchdown.
Yeah, they're going to score it for definitely.
They'll score first, and then it'll be like, oh.
Josh Allen will look like the next big thing.
all the scripted plays and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. It'll just go their
very
way.
classic Vikings thing, like
Yes.
Twitter's melting down, and yeah.
But the hope is, right, to get the players out by like the third quarter, right?
Yeah, I mean, because you have to go L.A.,
Yeah.
Philly.
So
yeah,
like you don't want to overdo anything this week, but at the same
a
time,
Cousins injury in like the fourth quarter, you're like, oh boy.
Well, Everson Griffin against Cleveland last year.
Yeah,
The foot situation. He played the last snap of the game when he didn't need to be out there. Like,
I hope Zim is smart about this. I think he's got to tell these guys, you got to see it as, there's a sense of urgency because we want this to be easy in the second half.
yeah, but you definitely need to. You have to step on the gas right away and can't let up until the third quarter at least. So it's got to be right away. You got to score on every possession you can, create turnovers, do all that. The stuff that you should do.
If you're the defense, do you have a point total goal? Like, are you like, we got to get 10?
I'd want at least one pick six this week.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, fumble recovery, some kind of points.
Yeah.
From the defense or special teams.
Well, it's not going to be a return touchdown, that's for sure. Stupid creeper in his face.
Did you see that guy in college, by the way, who pretended to do a fair catch?
Northern Texas. Did you see they beat the crap out of Arkansas?
Yeah,
it was like 70-20.
Yeah, and I get why they're trying to outline that because you really want to protect fair catches.
Yes,
but it was a hilarious thing to do once.
It was great. I love it. But yeah, like you said, they'll never get away with it again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nor should you. You really want to, you don't want that guy to get killed when he's not trying to be.
Somebody's going to have that. I bet Doug Peterson will use that in this week.
Yeah.
So
Bills will use it against the Vikings. That's
there it is.
Yeah.
And Prefer gets fired at halftime.
So Pat Elflein was a full participant in practice on Wednesday. Should the Vikings play him against Buffalo?
Yes.
Yinka?
I've been saying I would, if he's healthy, fine. I guess. Fine. Like,
I want everyone to see Yinka's expression here.
If he's healthy, fine.
Hand palm up in the air.
Fine, but
rolled his eyes.
I didn't think that he was going to be healthy, like fully 100% healthy until the Philly game. So I've been saying the Philly game.
But he's healthy now.
He's a full participant.
Which makes him healthy.
He is probably 80%, 85%.
But, the way that Brett Jones sort of got man-child by Mike Daniels, I'd be like, it'd be nice to have 65 back for Sue and Donald.
Would you put him back at center, or would you put him over
I'll put him back at center.
Elflein stays at center, but, what do you do with Brett Jones? I'm not saying Tom Compton's been good, per se, but...
I would put him at left guard still.
Jones?
Yeah.
Or Compton?
Brett Jones.
Okay. Or do you start trying to put Brian Winston in there?
Brian Winston, come on.
Is that 13? He started 13 games last year. He's a solid starter too. So we'll see.
I mean, Jamal Charles win the Russian title, or excuse me, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Even though Kareem Hunt has been trash now. Not that I'm bitter about my stupid fantasy teams. I'm 0-2 in a lot of leagues. Like what the hell is happening? Yeah, Pat freaking Mahomes. Also, having the Kansas City kicker when the Chiefs score 42.
Oh, my gosh. That was me. I had him.
Yeah.
8 points because of all extra points.
Yeah, where it's like, wow, how, what? Pat, well, you got to score in every. Why can't you just let him kick a 50-yarder? You want to give me 5 points, son? Yeah. I'm actually hoping the Vikings get up early because duh. But also, I want to see Josh Allen just step back and chuck it every single down.
Oh, he might have a lot of garbage time stats, huh?
Yeah, which is why I think the Bills may backdoor cover, where the Vikings get up big early and then the Bills score some junk time points.
Except the Vikings are notoriously good at, for gamblers, right? They always beat the spread, them and the Pats.
Oh yeah, they're great at that.
Yeah, but 17 points, man. That's still a lot against a Mike Zimmer team.
I'm taking that though.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points.
I like how you try to hedge it. Yeah, I mean, if I gamble.
Yeah. If I were a gambling man, if I were to go somewhere like Treasure Island or Mystic Lake.
Hey, Yinka, what are you doing here? I said you didn't gamble. It's like, I just came from running aces.
That should be a thing. Come on, sponsor. Yep.
Treasure Island?
Let's do it.
Are we back on that?
Yinka can sing the song.
Treasure Island Resort and Casino.
He's got to dance. There's got to be a dance to it, too.
You knew it was coming, too.
Oh, man.
Rashad Hill being held out of practice with the ankle today on Wednesday. Should Brian O'Neill start?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he should.
He looked immediately. He looked good, and I've definitely been a person who have been a little bit hesitant as far as the Brian O'Neill.
Yes, you have
pick and just playing him and stuff. But I admitted it. He did look good on Sunday. If he can continue to string together some games along, then yes. I mean, Rashad Hill. The reason why it's good to have him potentially as a backup is he can be a swing tackle guy. So I mean that might be your reason to put O'Neill there again. But I think right now O'Neill probably gives you the best chance if Hill is not 100%.
Yeah, and the thing about O'Neill, it's like he doesn't look overly great, but also he doesn't look overwhelmed, which is great. Like he's not getting his lunch handed to him, like T.J. Clemmings back in the day. So I think there's a lot to build on, and there's a lot of positives there. And he's going to be, again, putting this on wax, he's going to be the Viking starting left tackle 2020.
See, I'm still of the belief that he's going to stay at right tackle and that he should stay at right tackle. Why not?
Forever?
Why not?
Forever?
Why does he have to?
Should have been the halftime show.
Why does he have to move to left tackle? I guess is my question.
Who?
Brian O'Neill. Like, why is it?
I wouldn't like O'Neill as a left tackle.
I just don't know if he has the anchor to do it. I don't know.
Okay.
Ever. I don't know if
he has the anchor to do it. He has the athleticism, but I think he'll get bullied way too often.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, either way, he's a starting tackle on our team.
Yeah.
So.
Until he gets to face Khalil Mack in a couple weeks, but
that won't be him.
Wait, that's going to be Khalil Mack after he's actually in football shape and actually knows the plays.
Yeah, they don't want Brian O'Neill going against Khalil Mack.
He's just so good, and it's so frustrating that he's
David Morgan and Rashad Hill all game.
You chip.
No, not even just chip. I'm talking like double team every time.
Oh, I meant with the entire offensive line. So everyone just chip.
But
him.
like Akeem Hicks is really good too. Like it.
Yeah, you have Akeem Hicks. You had Leonard
Floyd's
Floyd.
okay, but you can handle him 1-on-1.
No, I know you can, but I'm just saying like it frees up not him having to.
Yeah.
You just offer Leonard Floyd some biscuits and gravy before his combine workout.
But
it's just still hilarious.
Popeye biscuits though.
Oh, dry.
Sure.
Yeah, well, that's just the epitome of, like, remember when you were younger and you could eat whatever you wanted and you felt like you could do whatever?
No, my mom's
like
a nutritionist and Nigerian, so that definitely doesn't apply to me. Yeah.
That seems like a horrible combination.
It was, bro. It was terrible.
You're like sneaking Snickers bars in. She's like, I found this.
Like, it's so funny because, like, you just get traumatized by certain things. So we got older. My mom would, like, when she wanted to, like, buy groceries, she's like, hey, do you guys want Skittles? No, we don't. We know what this is, okay? I'm not trying to get my ass beat.
Driving by McDonald's and be like, I don't even know what that is. I'd never seen that before.
Wait, so your mom, like, tried to entrap you?
Oh, my mom constantly would try to entrap me. Absolutely.
That's borderline evil.
I went to Yankees' house before a Gopher game last year, and the first place we went was McDonald's. So if his mom's listening.
Can you imagine you walk in and she's like, nope. Out the door.
Deuces. No, he's that the deuces disappear gif.
Yes.
All right. We're going to hop into hour 2. We got phone calls. We got a ton of Twitter questions that we'll get to, and we'll keep cruising along. But hold on. Shows available on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, zocoverage.com/machine. But for Miles and Yinka and Tom, I'm Andy saying, hey, now, sorry, bye. Let's hour 2.